let's talk Mets. We got Dellin Betances, y'all. Huge. In my opinion, a great move. I know some people are very weary about the fact that he missed all of last year with an Achilles or something. But he's only going to be 32, four-time All-Star. Was incredible in 2014, 2015. Top of the leaderboards. He's a career average ERA of 2.36. He signed him to a one-year deal with $10.5 million. He'll earn $13 million if he appears in 70 games, which he hasn't appeared in 70 games since 2016. But he averages, right below 70. I think around 68 games. He also averages around 15 Ks per 9 innings. Got player option in 2021, vesting player option for 2022. I think this is, it's a decent amount of moolah. It's a decent chunk of change, but we found out that the Mets have been able to lower Yo's contract from 20 some odd $1 million to like $6 million. So we do have the space to bring in Betances, which is nice. 6'8", 265, 285. I don't know. I don't care. It's just like intimidating as hell. The thing that does concern me is that Baseball Reference, their 2020 projections for Dellin Betances, 32 innings pitched, which is like half of what he usually puts out, with an ERA around 4, which is like a whole run and a half more than his career average. So I guess Baseball Reference not high on Dellin Betances being able to contribute a lot in 2020. Still, I like it. And you're now seeing offense wasn't really much of a problem in 2019. I know there's some Mets Twitter account, maybe it's Mets Daddy or one of those, that seems to be a perpetual Debbie Downer, and that's coming from a perpetual Debbie Downer, saying that because we lost Panic and Frazier, that we're not as deep, and so hence we're not as good as the 2020 team is not as good as the 2019 team because we don't have the depth that we did in 2019. It's just like, I don't know what are you not seeing? The offense is there, even without Panic and Frazier. It's really the arms. I think we got short on arms last year, especially in the bullpen. And if you can come out healthy, and then this kind of leads into my next point, is that there's been some, apparently Metsmerized Online reported that there's been heavy interest in Marcus Stroman and Steven Matz as like potential trade candidates. I would say I'd rather between the two, I don't know. My initial knee-jerk reaction was, well, Stroman just got here. We haven't really seen what he can do over the course of a full season in Mets uniform, so let's give him some time. Matz, you kind of know what you got with Matz. He's inconsistent. He can be great one game and then just implode the next. I would, lean towards moving Matz, because the top level lefty talent in the starting rotation is scarce. So, but then again, it's like if he's our only lefty option, it's hard to turn him away. But I'm not opposed to trading Steven Matz at all. And then the rotation, instead of Matz in the bullpen, I mean, with Betances now in the bullpen, I guess you would have deGrom, Syndergaard, Stroh, Porcello. Who the fuck am I missing? Waka? Although it looks like Waka is going to be in the bullpen as well. So I am liking our bullpen more so than I did last year. So I don't know. I don't understand why you wouldn't like that signing. It seems fairly low risk. I mean, I know it's a lot of money for 1 year. But you're not putting a whole lot of pressure on him to come in and perform and be, a playmaker or a game changer or anything like that. So Holy shit, it's almost midnight. Yay. Jacob deGrom was named the New York Athlete of the Decade by the New York Post. No arguments there. He won the Rookie of the Year honors, back-to-back Cy Youngs. In 171 career starts, he's allowed one or no runs 80 times, 46.8% of the time. And since 1908, that is the most such starts with the pitcher's first 171 career games, covering 11 decades, dude. First Mets pitcher to win back-to-backs. Wins another, he will tie Tom Seaver with 3. He has the best day game ERA in Major League history at 1.84. Makes me think that we should go the Chicago Cubs pre-1989 route and just knock out the stadium lights and just play all day games. Since the beginning of 2018, deGrom's 51 quality starts is second most in baseball behind Justin Verlander's 52. deGrom is the only NL pitcher to throw at least 200 innings in each of his last 3 seasons. He owns the lowest whip in Mets history and is first in strikeouts per 9 innings. And trails only Seaver in ERA. Yeah. You know, you got to think about the other athletes of the decade. I mean, New York sports has completely sucked this decade. I mean, the Yankees won in 2009, so that's not even this decade. The Giants are the only team to win a championship this decade. And since that championship early on in the decade, the Giants have stunk. Eli Manning has not been the same Eli Manning that he was in the first half in terms of winning and going to the playoffs, even though I think he put up actually better numbers. So, yeah, I mean, like, who else would you put there? deGrom has been deGrominant. Quickly, we'll talk about the all-decade team. This was from, I believe, SNY put this out. But first base, they have Lucas Duda. And they said that they were considering putting Pete Alonso, but it's like one monster season versus Lucas Duda, who came on the scene in 11 and then had kind of a breakout year in 14, was instrumental to the team's run in 15, and then kind of petered out, in 17. So he had like 3 or 4 pretty good seasons as the starter after, battling with Ike Davis there for a while in 2013. Daniel Murphy at second. I don't disagree with that. I would say maybe if Jeff McNeil had one more good season, because his first season was 2018. He was great, but it was like a lost season. And then 2019, he really shined when it mattered. So, I guess you kind of have to put Daniel there. They have Jose Reyes at short on an all-decade team, even though he left after the 2011 season. So he only had really 2 good seasons, and that's kind of a testament to how long they've been looking for an answer at shortstop since Reyes. And is Ahmed Rosario the answer? I guess it's still too early to tell, but I mean, second half of 2019, he really turned it on. And I think that he can be the answer. So it's kind of confusing to me that they would already be possibly dangling him in a trade scenario and looking to like Carlos Correa to come in and looking for other shortstops to come in when it's like, it feels like you already have the answer in Rosario. A lot of people would say, well, why not Wilmer Flores? And it's like, there's this weird unabashed love for Wilmer Flores because he is the best. I mean, he is statistically the best clutch hitter in Mets franchise history, which is bananas. Outside of being a clutch hitter and just, a level of personality, I don't think he put up anywhere near the stats that people think he needed to put up in order to be considered for the all-decade team. But I guess if you're saying like Reyes didn't put in enough time in only 2 seasons, I guess you would have to put Flores there. And then Tejada, I guess, is their third option, which, I mean, Tejada's Tejada. He doesn't really do a whole lot. Third base, they kind of forced to put David Wright there, even though most of the decade he was hurt. I mean, his last season obviously was 2018, but he didn't play a whole lot in 2015 or most of 16. I think he was out all of 17. I think he was also injured. He was injured most of the decade. So, but again, this is what we're talking about. There's no other alternative at third base when you think about it. Frazier was only here 2 years, put up okay seasons. Who else did you have there? You had Eric. The fuck was his name? I don't remember. So I'm okay with that. Catcher Travis d'Arnaud, which is insane to me. But I mean, who else are you gonna put there? Left field, they have Yo. Yeah, I guess in 2-ish seasons, he's by far their best contributor offensively. Center field, they had Curtis Granderson over Juan Lagares, which Lagares had more playing time in center, but it's dude, he had 1 Gold Glove in 2014, and that was about it. I think 2014 he led the team in WAR, but other than that, it's he didn't. I don't know. And then right field, they have Conforto, which I agree with. He came on the scene in 2015, and has been fairly consistent ever since then. Starting rotation, they have deGrom, Dickey, Harvey, Syndergaard, Santana. So Santana 2010, 11, 12, the no in 12. Dickey, which what a series of events. R.A. Dickey, what an impact he's had on the franchise when you think about it. Was pretty much one of the top pitchers, I'd say 1B pitcher for the Mets in 2010, 11, 12. I think he was a Cy Young candidate in 12. And then he gets traded for d'Arnaud, our all-decade catcher, and Syndergaard, who is on the precipice of doing something special, I think. This is not their honorary mentions. It's my honorary mentions. I think Bartolo Colon, you have to throw in there. I mean, he wasn't completely dominant from a statistical standpoint, but he provided stability. You knew he was going to give you innings. He very rarely shit the bed, and not dominant per se, but would give you good outings, consistent outings. I also had, as honorary mentions, Zach Wheeler and Steven Matz. It's hard to ignore the contributions that Matz has made, even though he has been kind of all over the place. He does compile some good numbers. Zach Wheeler, I mean, he came over in the 2011 trade, really kind of broke through in 2014. And of course he missed 15 and I guess maybe most of 16, but then, the past 2 seasons he's been approaching deGrom type level status. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to just give him an honorary mention, They didn't do bullpen on this list, the all-decade team, but I'd say for the bullpen, Addison Reed, even though it was short-lived, 2 or 3 seasons, I think he was a guy that was your go-to guy in the decade for a hold, I would say, or setup guy. Hard to exclude Bobby Parnell just because he did. A lot of people thought that he was the guy, and they gave him all kinds of chances, and he could have been something special. So I feel like he deserves some recognition. Seth Lugo, obviously, in the bullpen, also should get mentioned. And then their closer, SNY's closer for the all-decade team, Jeurys Familia. Which, 2015, 2016, he led the league in saves, I think, with 51, 52. In 2015, you take out the playoffs and maybe that Padres game in late July where we all thought the season was donezo. One of the more dominant closers. So that's the Mets.